Hello, and welcome to the Bitcoin Roundup podcast presented by Coinbits. We bring Bitcoin news, hot topics of conversation, and deep dives into a variety of Bitcoin topics to you weekly. We are Coinbits, a Bitcoin financial services company. Check us out at coinbits.app. This recording is for informational purposes only. No investment or legal or any other advice should be drawn from this content. And as always, consult an advisor before making any legal or financial decisions.
And actually, just tonight, earlier today, we launched the sign up page for our Bitcoin IRA. So yeah, man, we're like rolling out these growth features to help people just onboard into Bitcoin, man.
Nice. Okay. Where are you out of?
We're in New Jersey. The team's remote, but we're all like my brother and I are based out of New Jersey.
Okay.
So the team up until a year ago was 2 people. And we've really scaled things up over the last year. So it's been a journey. So I appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if you recall, I remember meeting at the Bitcoin conference in April.
Okay.
We bought a bunch of the Uncommunist Manifesto.
Yeah, he's familiar. I thought so. Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, I saw Svetski earlier, so we're gonna bring him in, but I'm glad they got you guys. So
Want me to text him?
yeah, I think that'd be cool.
I don't know if I want to, but
I saw him deep in conversation earlier, so I didn't want to pull him out.
Now, while you do that, Mark, I mean, I think for people in the audience who might be watching this later who don't know, Mark had a great YouTube channel that explained Bitcoin and the surrounding implications of it to a really broad audience. And just recently, I think in the past year, Mark has a deal now with One Heart Radio, kind of as a radio syndicate show, to explain Bitcoin to the masses, which is a really, really on mission thing for us as Coinbits as we try to bring Bitcoin to the masses. So what I love about Mark's style of communication is he makes things that would normally sound like complete conspiracies, completely not conspiratorial, just like matter of fact, completely even keel with facts.
well, that's
facts.
the key.
And
I bring the receipts. So I have like this whiteboard that I do everything on, and everything I say, I have a chart, I have a graph, I have a headline, I have something to back up everything. So I have to, right? Otherwise people won't believe it. So that's the key.
yeah, and I think it reaches so many people. And I think for me, like when I was watching, some of your shows, the one that I think I share the most often is the conversation you had with Preston Fish. And I think it was about maybe 7 or 8 months ago.
It was. Oh, and that was a while ago. By the way, I need to bring him back on. But I don't even remember what we talked about. That was a long time ago.
I mean, it was the Great Reset. It was talking about the Great Reset and how.
Oh, when I was on his show. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And I just share that with all my normie friends who are just like, oh, you're just a crazy conservative dude who thinks the world is out to get them. And just like, listen to this. It's an hour.
Then tell me what you think. Right.
Yeah. And the way, Mark, the way you communicate it.
I don't think there's any conspiracy anymore because now they just say it out loud.
Right. Exactly.
We are cutting out power. We're just doing it. We're going to reduce the food supply. Like, that's not.
Conspiracies are.
Yeah, now it's like they're just telling them. Like, so there's no conspiracy, but we are going to censor free speech. We are going to track your movements with an app on your phone. Like, they're not hiding any of it.
One of their tactics is they say that's not happening and it's good if it is.
Yeah. Yeah, now they're just saying it. And nobody can do anything about it. Like, we found out this week that Zuckerberg was on Joe Rogan.
Yes.
And he admits that the administration had him censor. The information came out on Twitter that the Biden administration had them censor. And so what?
Videos.
What's anyone going to do about it? Nothing. Screw you. So what? Right? So that's the point they're at now. So I think the days of like people thinking it's a conspiracy are over, unless you're like the most blind, stupid person in the world, because they're literally saying it. It might have been conspiracy when you said they censored the Hunter Biden story before, but now they're saying it. If it's a conspiracy, just wait a couple months, right?
Yeah, exactly. Do you think Zuckerberg knew what he was doing when he said that? I feel like
He said what?
When he said that on Rogan, when he said that, he definitely did. I mean, did you watch that Sean Harris interview the other day as well, where it was like him talking about this exact thing of censoring the Hunter Biden, laptop videos or whatever.
Okay, so it was intentional.
Yeah, it was intentional.
He was going to Rogan to say that for some reason.
Zuck's trained, man. Like he's not like 20-year-old.
I doubt he went there to say that, but after a couple hours, JRE is pretty good at talking. And I think the other thing is that I think we're witnessing right now, like the ship's starting to go down and the rats are starting to jump off.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting to see a lot of people wanting to cover their ass.
Ooh.
So you got the Tony Fauci starting to retire. Like he's just going to step down, like just when all the allegations are coming out, right? So we're starting to see all these people like jumping ship, and maybe that's what Zuckerberg is doing. Who knows? I try not to dig too deep into people's motives and just stick with the facts.
Right.
It doesn't really matter why he said it. He did, right?
It's true. I mean, it's kind of like whether something you perceive as evil or not, it could be incompetence, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
So
it's
like,
irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. It's hard to get into the hearts of men,
God's
right?
job, not ours.
Yeah. So
I'm curious, Mark, with the completely different audience that you're reaching on, different platforms that you're on, what is the biggest source of pushback that you get with some of the messages that you're sharing about Bitcoin and the implications of?
because my content on the surface doesn't look like Bitcoin content.
Ooh.
So like everybody here has their different jobs to do, I think, right? So like you got a podcast like What Bitcoin Did. And like you're only going to listen to that podcast if you're already a Bitcoiner, right? People who aren't Bitcoiners or specifically don't want to be Bitcoiners would never watch that. So those are what I call the farmers. They're cultivating, but someone's got to be the hunter.
Mm.
Okay? So that's kind of where I put myself. So like top of funnel, if we were talking about marketing. So my videos are talking about the Fed. They're talking about how when countries reach 120% debt to GDP, there's no coming back. We're talking about farmers getting cracked down on for growing food. We're talking about all these different issues that people are concerned with. And then we're tracing them all back to Bitcoin.
Right.
So people watch this video and they're like, oh my gosh, I knew the debt problem was bad. I knew inflation was bad. I didn't realize the Fed's place was such between a rock and a hard place. I hadn't really thought like it's inevitable. And what comes next? Bitcoin, right? And so like you're taking these issues. So anyway, I guess I say that because then you have to understand who the audience is. So a lot of the audiences are no coiners, right? So your ideal audience, right? So they're no coiners. And so like, and the same old FUD, right? Like either it's magic digital money. If I can't hold it in my hand, it's not tangible. So I got a lot of gold guys and commodity guys and traditional guys like that.
But they're primed, right?
Huh?
They're primed for Bitcoin. In many cases, like you said, the gold guys, they get the problem, but they don't get the solution.
Yeah, and they think it's just digital. It's not real if I can't hold it, right? That's the gold guys specifically.
What about the red pill community? Like,
a lot of people think it's the pump and dump and like, oh, it's going to zero now. It's a tulip, right? Tulips, right? So there's that. And then you have the crypto people who it's old technology, BSV is the better version, those types of things. And then the one thing that bothers me the most, and it's across all my videos and across all my topics, is and really going back to the book, the Uncommunist Manifesto, it's a bunch of victims. But the government's going to make it. The government's going to ban it. I'm like, what are you, friggin' victim? I ain't no friggin' victim. If a billion people don't want it to be illegal, it ain't going to be illegal. The government wants to take my Bitcoin. I tell them, come take it. That's what I look at every single day. I ain't no victim. They ain't going to get my Bitcoin. That's it, period. I don't care where in the world I got to go.
it's true.
They ain't going to get it. So like, I see that victim mentality a lot. And I trace it back to the book because in Marxism, in the original Communist Manifesto, they talk about two arbitrary groups, right? The rich and the poor. And the rich are the oppressors and the poor are the oppressed. And it's not your fault. You have nothing to offer but your labor. Your labor will never equate to capital. You'll never get ahead because you're being oppressed by these people. You're a victim. And the reason why they want you to be a victim is because if I'm a victim, then I need a savior. I can't do it on my own. I'm never going to get ahead. The only hope I have is if this government, this state, will go and help me and take money from them and give it. That's the only chance I have, right? And so that victim mentality has been purposely given to us through Marxism. And today we have a cultural Marxism, which is neo-Marxism, which is like identity politics. So in the original book, it was rich and poor. Today it's black and white and male and female and gay and straight and immigrant versus non-immigrant and every single cross-section of society you can find. And again, people are victims. So that's one thing I see across all, like I just had this video that went live yesterday or today, no, yesterday. And I was talking about how like food's under attack. That's like one of the 3 attack vectors. Henry Kissinger laid out it. Control the food, control the people, control the energy, control the continent, control the money, control the world, right? So those are the attack vectors: food, energy, money. So the energy, right? Biden shutting our energy down, Europe shutting energy down, right? They're attacking food, shutting it down in Sri Lanka, shutting it down in Holland, shutting it down in Canada, right? So it's food and energy, and then the money. We've known this 50 years. And so I made this video and I said, I can't believe this is happening here. And I was saying how like, hey, it's happened in Sri Lanka, it's happened in Holland, it's happened in Canada, but now it's happened in the US. So like last week, this Amish farm in Pennsylvania was raided, right? Because they want to grow cows naturally, right? And I said, so look, like this is happening. And then I went into history. I like to always go into history lessons. And I said, the reason why is because they control the food, control the people. They want you dependent on them. And I went and I talked about the Indians, or as everybody wants to correct me, the Native Americans. I didn't know everyone was so freaking sensitive. I'm part Native American, by the way. So I call them Indians and I guess I'm offensive to myself, but whatever. But so what a lot of people don't know is in the early 1800s, when Lewis and Clark came across to the West, they have reports in their books about how the buffalo or the bison, whatever, were so plentiful that it took them hours to go by them. So like if you're sitting at a train and the train's going by, it took them hours just for the bison to cross. That they said it was so plentiful that they would darken the plains. They estimate in the early 1800s, by about 1806, there was between 30 to 60 million bison roaming the plain. But they wanted to move the railroad out west. And they couldn't move the railroad out west as long as the Indians, the Native Americans, were in their way. So how do we get rid of the Native Americans? As long as they're able to get their own food and chase the bison, we're never going to corral them. The only way we can corral them is if we get rid of all the bison, so they'll move to the reservation and we can give them food. And so they did. They brought in General Sherman, and they opened up hunts. And by 1870-ish, I forget the exact date, there was about 350 bison left. And all the Native Americans were in reservations because they took over the food. So anyway, then I talk about the farm and like, hey, we need to build parallel societies. We need to be preparing our own food. We need to be meeting our farmers. And of course, Bitcoin is what underpins all that, because without freedom of payments, you have no freedom. Right. So what we really need, nobody needs money. Nobody wants money. We want the things money buys us, right? And so the way that we win is by setting up parallel structures. That's how we win. So we need to pull our kids out of the school. I can't change the school, but I can pull my kids out and I can teach them over here. I can't change mainstream media, but I can start my own media. I can't change the financial system, but I can pull my money out. I can't change the medical system, but I can see my own doctor, right? And so we have to build these parallel markets. So I talked about that. And then all these comments. But you're going to start your own farm and they're going to come seize your cows. And oh, now the IRS is going to come after you. And it's like, dude, you freaking victims. Like over and over and over. So anyway, it was a long-winded answer. Sorry about that.
But like you said, man, like sure, they may come. And for the first few, right? But like when all of us are doing this, it's impossible. You know, they can't seize everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think, I'm just, my grandfather was one of the Purple Heart in World War II. And my father flew jets over Vietnam. And when I was born into an Air Force family. And
where'd you grow up?
In South Texas until I was in junior high. And then I've lived in Southern California ever since. But I just figured I'd go to war one day. And
so you were conditioned.
I just figured that'd be my fate. And I never did. I was kind of too old already by the time the whole like Desert Storm and all that broke out. But I ain't no freaking victim. I guess this is my war. I can't believe that my World War II, like people are storming the beaches of Normandy, seeing their friends blowing up or left and right next to them. And today people are afraid to say something. So victim mentality. Bitcoin teaches personal responsibility. It's the exact opposite, right?
Mark, is it fear of cancel culture? Like
It's just fear of who knows what. I don't even care. I ain't going to spend time thinking about it. Cancel culture, somebody thinking bad about them, somebody being mean, somebody saying something mean, someone giving them a dirty look, like whatever.
Yeah.
Was that your motivation behind getting together with Aleks and writing the Uncommunist Manifesto?
You know, the way that started, I mean, obviously I'm super passionate about trying to turn the tide. I believe we turn the tide through education, right? I believe good ideas win because they're better, but only if they're able to be intelligently discussed and pushed forward. So I'm not into I really hate cancel culture, and I really hate like this kind of like toxic pleb culture that's built up in Bitcoin. I get 5,000 comments a week across all my platforms. And I'll do the videos as we talked about earlier, and I have all the receipts. I have every single chart, every single fact, every single headline, and I show them every single one, right? And then someone will leave a comment, "Oh, you're an idiot. Everything you said was wrong." And it's like, I literally laid out 25 facts. Please feel free to dispute if any of them. Like, I'm happy,
Right.
but like that kind of thing, right? And so what happens is when no one has an intelligent debate or rebuttal, they're just going to do a personal attack, right? So I'm super passionate. I believe that we win through education. I believe good ideas win if they can be intelligently discussed, et cetera. And so that's why I put so much time into education, right? Trying to educate other people. And so obviously the book was like a natural extension of that. But really where that idea came from is that someone who's studied obviously capitalism, tons of Austrian economics, studied communism, studied history of communism. I had actually never read the Communist Manifesto, like the original one. And when I read it, whatever now, a year and a half ago, whatever, I was shocked. I was like, I can't believe it actually says this stuff. And at the time, that was like BLM was rioting. And the leader of BLM, the girls that ran it were saying they're trained Marxists, right? Like, do you know what that means? Because like in the Communist Manifesto, it says women are means of production and should be community property. Like, are feminists okay with that? Has anybody ever read that? Like, and I started reading these things and I'm like, I can't believe anybody be okay with this. And I almost feel like you guys know that account, like Libs of TikTok.
Yeah.
Right. And how they're under so much attack, right? All they do is just repost what other people put on social media. To me, on my social media, my team, the one metric we optimize for is shares. I figure for me, that's probably, if people share it, that's probably the highest compliment, right? So I optimize for shares. Well, all they're doing is sharing what they put up, which is what people want, right? But by shining the mirror on themselves, they see how bad it is. And now Libs of TikTok is like the worst platform in the world. They have to be censored, right? So I just figured if we could shine a light on this and show people, look, this is what it says, right? Maybe that would help, right? So we did that, and then that's kind of where the idea came from. And then we decided not to go tit for tat with the book. We just write a better version of it.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and thank you so much for all that you do. I think that line of education is definitely what the world needs. And the content you're producing is very shareable with pre-coiners, the no-coiners, the Bitcoiners who don't know that they're Bitcoiners yet, which is a big cohort of people.
Even talk about that all the time.
And even the book, right, in the Uncommunist Manifesto, I believe we use the word Bitcoin 10 times in the book. It's not a Bitcoin book, but we use the word like 10 times. So it should hopefully appeal to anybody that doesn't care about Bitcoin, doesn't like Bitcoin, whatever. Obviously, the title says nothing about it. But it makes the case that it's inevitable. Like, there's no way to have this uncommunist system without it, right? And so it's like another backdoor way in, you know?
It's perfect. It's perfect. What excites you most about BitBlockBoom?
Just getting to see a bunch of old buddies. Yeah.
It's most of our first time. You guys here for the first time. It's first time BitBlockBoom, so it's...
Yeah, so I remember the first time I came, like 4 years ago, maybe. I was in the crypto space for a long time. So from 2016 to 2019, I wrote a cryptocurrency research newsletter, and each month I'd publish about 25 pages of research on like different crypto projects.
Jeez.
So I probably published like over 1,000 pages of research on every decentralized exchange and privacy coin and, you know, layer one protocol, blah, 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 right? So like I had been in the kind of the crypto space for a long time, which there was no Bitcoin space yet.
Right.
So I knew some people here from just the greater crypto space, a couple people. But then this was the first like Bitcoin only event that I came to. So I think it was like 4 years ago. And I didn't know that many people, just a couple of people. And so I just keep coming back, and now it's like a big old family, right? So it's cool. It's awesome. Good people.
Yeah, I mean, way more intimate than the Miami conference.
Oh yeah.
Dude, it's just even hanging out in the lobby, just hanging out with, random Twitter plebs, but it's a great way to just connect, talk Bitcoin, talk shop, make friendships.
Yeah, for sure. So that's pretty cool. I think, like going back to the Communist Manifesto, like and this identity politics, right? So like they want you to believe that we align on race, but like we're obviously all different races here, that we align on sex or sexual preference or whatever, right? And we identify on all these things, but that's couldn't be further from the truth, right? We align on values,
Right?
and the higher level the value, the higher the connection. And so when you get around a bunch of Bitcoiners at Bitcoin Miami or here, it's almost like this like high vibration.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because everybody's here for the highest level value. Everyone's seeking truth. Everyone's trying to build more personal responsibility, and everybody wants more freedom, and everybody's willing to sacrifice for that. And so like, you can just feel it in the air, right?
Yeah. I remember feeling it the first time at the Safe Steak dinner 2 Miami conferences ago. You sit at his table with complete strangers, 30 minutes later, you feel like you've known them your whole life.
Yeah.
Just how it's.
Yeah. So I think that's good. I went in June, there was a consensus in Austin. It was a crypto conference, and I used to go all the time before there was Bitcoin events. And I happened to be in Austin at the time, and I didn't actually go to the conference, but I went to like a couple of the after parties, or whatever. And like, I was like looking around at these people. I'm like, who are all these people, and why are they here? Like, why all these people are here. But like, why are all these people here? Are they looking for like a next dog coin? Or are they trying to figure out how to put art on? Like, what are they doing?
Going through the motions,
Yeah, it was really weird, but here, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, I remember meeting a lot of like Ethereum people at the Bitcoin conference, and it was clear as day. Like everyone just kept talking about the next round of funding, right? The next coin, the next ICO, the merge. Yeah, like it was clear as day, man. Yeah.
Mark, it's been great chatting with you.
Dude, where's people get your book, man?
Yeah.
Shoot. I'm everywhere. So if you just go to onemarkmoss.com,
onemarkmoss.com,
you find all my social media, my radio show, my podcast, my YouTube channel, the book, Uncommunist Manifesto on Amazon. It's been up for like 2 weeks. And Uncommunist Manifesto or uncommunist.com.
Yes. God bless you, brother. Thanks for everything that you do, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Bitcoin Roundup podcast presented by Coinbits. So what do you think of the conversation? Share your thoughts with us on Twitter @CoinbitsApp, and be sure to subscribe to be notified of our next episode release. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time on the Bitcoin Roundup podcast.